Did you know that over 5 million people are expected to leave the UK in 2025? That's like the entire population of Scotland packing up and moving out. But here's the real question. Why are so many people desperate to leave? Is it the skyrocketing cost of living? The failing healthcare system? The crime rates climbing in major cities? Or is it something even bigger? A sign that the UK is no longer the place it once was. Think about it. Energy bills are through the roof, wages aren't keeping up, and home ownership feels impossible. Even professionals with stable jobs are finding it hard to get by. And with Brexit's lasting impact, political instability, and rising taxes, it's no wonder people are looking for a way out. But where are they going? Countries like Canada, Australia, and Germany are offering better pay, lower taxes, and a higher quality of life. In Spain and Portugal, expats are finding cheaper housing, safer communities, and a better work-life balance. So, is the UK really heading for a mass exodus? And more importantly, should you consider leaving too? Stay tuned, because in this video, we're breaking down the 10 biggest reasons why people are fleeing the UK and where they're going next. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Number 1. Cost of living crisis. The cost of living crisis is one of the biggest reasons why millions of people are considering leaving the UK in 2025. Over the past few years, everyday expenses have skyrocketed, making it harder for families and individuals to afford even the basics. Rent, food, transportation, and energy bills have all surged, leaving many people struggling to make ends meet. One of the biggest culprits? Inflation. Prices have been rising at their fastest rate in decades, but wages haven't kept up. This means that even those with stable jobs are finding it harder to cover basic expenses. A recent study showed that the average UK household now spends over £2,000 more per year on essential goods than they did just a few years ago. Groceries alone have seen double-digit price hikes, making a simple shopping trip a financial burden. Housing costs are another major issue. Whether renting or buying, the UK's property market is becoming increasingly unaffordable. Rents have surged by 10 to 15% in major cities like London, Manchester, and Birmingham, while home ownership is slipping out of reach for many. Even those who can afford a mortgage are facing record-high interest rates, making monthly payments significantly more expensive than before. Meanwhile, energy prices remain at crisis levels. Many households are paying hundreds of pounds more per month just to heat their homes. Even government subsidies haven't been enough to offset the burden, forcing many to choose between heating and other essentials. With the UK's cost of living spiralling out of control, it's no surprise that many people are looking at alternative countries where their money will go further, and they can enjoy a higher standard of living. For many, leaving the UK isn't just an option, it's becoming a necessity. Number 2. Skyrocketing energy prices. One of the biggest financial burdens forcing people to consider leaving the UK is the soaring cost of energy. Over the past few years, gas and electricity prices have reached record highs, making it increasingly difficult for households to keep up with their monthly bills. For many, heating their homes during the winter has become a luxury rather than a necessity. The UK's over-reliance on imported energy has made the country particularly vulnerable to global price fluctuations. Following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, natural gas prices surged, leading to higher costs for UK households. While other European nations implemented long-term strategies to reduce dependency on external energy sources, the UK has struggled to provide a stable and affordable supply. Energy bills have nearly doubled for some households, with many now paying hundreds of pounds more per month just to maintain a basic standard of living. Even government support schemes such as energy price caps and subsidies have failed to provide enough relief, leaving millions struggling to cover their bills. This has led to a growing trend of energy poverty, where families are forced to cut back on heating, cooking, and even electricity usage to save money. Businesses have also been hit hard, especially in energy-intensive industries like manufacturing and hospitality. Rising operational costs are forcing many small businesses to shut down or relocate to countries with cheaper energy rates. This not only impacts business owners, but also leads to job losses and economic instability. With no long-term solution in sight and prices expected to remain high, many UK residents are looking abroad for more affordable living conditions. Countries like Spain, Portugal, and Canada offer lower energy costs and milder climates, making them attractive options for those tired of paying a fortune just to stay warm. Number 3. Housing affordability crisis. The UK's housing market has become a major factor driving people to leave the country. Whether you're renting or trying to buy a home, housing costs have spiraled out of control, making it nearly impossible for many to secure stable and affordable living arrangements. As a result, people are looking for alternatives abroad where they can actually afford a decent home without sacrificing their entire paycheck. For renters, the situation is dire. In cities like London, Manchester, and Birmingham, rents have surged by 10 to 15% in just a year, forcing many to downgrade their living situations or move further away from work. Some tenants have even reported bidding wars just to secure a flat, a phenomenon that was once rare outside of home purchases. The demand far outweighs the supply, and landlords are increasing prices faster than wages can keep up. For potential homeowners, the dream of buying a house is slipping further away. House prices have more than doubled in the past 2 decades, and with mortgage rates hitting record highs, even those who managed to save a deposit are now struggling to afford monthly payments. According to recent data, the average house price in the UK now sits at over £300,000, while in London it's well over £500,000, figures that are simply unrealistic for many young professionals and families. In contrast, countries like Spain, Portugal, Canada, and Australia offer cheaper housing, lower mortgage rates, and better rent control policies. Many UK residents are realising they can enjoy a higher standard of living abroad for a fraction of what they're paying here. If housing remains this unaffordable, expect more people to pack up and leave for good. Why struggle in the UK when you can live better elsewhere? Number 4. Stagnant wages and job insecurity. One of the biggest reasons millions of people are considering leaving the UK in 2025 is the widening gap between wages and the cost of living. While expenses continue to rise at a record pace, salaries have barely increased, leaving many workers struggling to make ends meet. For professionals, young workers, and even experienced employees, the UK job market is no longer providing the financial security it once did. The biggest problem? Wages aren't keeping up with inflation. Even those in high-skilled industries like tech, finance, and healthcare are seeing their earnings lose value as everyday expenses surge. According to the Office for National Statistics, real wages have been falling for years, meaning that even pay raises aren't enough to offset rising costs. Many workers now find themselves working longer hours for less purchasing power, making it harder to save, invest, or even afford basic necessities. Job security is another major concern. Post-Brexit labour shortages, automation, and economic uncertainty have led to more temporary contracts, fewer benefits, and unpredictable employment conditions. Many industries, such as retail, hospitality, and even healthcare, are struggling to provide stable career paths. The rise of the gig economy and zero-hour contracts has made employment even more precarious, leaving workers without long-term financial stability. Countries like Canada, Germany, and Australia offer better wages, stronger labour protections, and more opportunities for career growth. Many skilled professionals are choosing to relocate to places where their work is more valued and their salaries actually keep up with living costs. If the UK job market doesn't improve, expect a brain drain, as thousands of skilled workers take their talents elsewhere in search of better pay and job security. Why stay in a system that isn't rewarding your hard work? Number 5. Brexit's long-term effects. Brexit was meant to give the UK more control over its economy, borders, and laws. But for many, the reality has been far more difficult than expected, and it's one of the key reasons why millions are considering leaving the country in 2025. The economic, trade, and immigration impacts of Brexit have made life harder, not easier, for businesses, workers, and families alike. One of the biggest long-term effects has been trade restrictions and rising costs. The UK's departure from the EU meant leaving the single market, which has led to increased tariffs, customs checks, and import-export delays. Businesses that once thrived on frictionless trade with Europe now face higher costs and bureaucratic hurdles, making it harder to compete internationally. These disruptions have directly impacted consumers as well, with higher prices on imported goods, from food to electronics. Another major issue is the shortage of skilled workers. Before Brexit, many industries, especially healthcare, construction, and hospitality, relied heavily on EU workers. But with stricter immigration rules, many skilled professionals have either left or chosen not to move to the UK at all. This has led to labour shortages, slower services, and increased pressure on British workers, all while wages fail to keep up with inflation. Meanwhile, economic uncertainty has weakened foreign investment in the UK. Many global companies have relocated headquarters and jobs to EU nations to avoid Brexit-related complications, resulting in fewer job opportunities at home. With better career prospects, lower costs, and fewer bureaucratic hurdles abroad, many UK residents, both British citizens and former EU nationals, are making the choice to leave. If Brexit was meant to improve life in the UK, why are so many people looking for an exit? Number 6. Declining healthcare system, NHS crisis. For decades, the National Health Service, NHS, was one of the UK's proudest achievements. But today, it's in crisis mode, and the situation is pushing many people, especially healthcare professionals, to leave the country in search of better opportunities. Long waiting times, staff shortages, and funding cuts have made it harder than ever to access quality medical care, leaving both patients and doctors frustrated. One of the biggest issues is overwhelming patient demand. The UK's growing and ageing population means more people need medical care, but the NHS is severely underfunded. Many patients are facing months-long waits for specialist appointments and surgeries, while overcrowded hospitals struggle to manage rising admissions. In many cases, even getting a routine GP appointment can take weeks. At the same time, thousands of NHS staff are quitting due to burnout, low wages, and extreme working conditions. Nurses, doctors, and healthcare workers are leaving the UK for countries like Australia, Canada, and the UAE, where they can earn higher salaries, enjoy better working conditions, and have a healthier work-life balance. The UK's overworked healthcare workforce is stretched thin, and without enough staff, the system is collapsing under its own weight. Meanwhile, private healthcare is becoming the only option for those who can afford it, creating a two-tier healthcare system where the wealthy get faster treatment while the average citizen struggles to access care. For many people, a functional healthcare system is a basic necessity, and if they can't rely on the NHS anymore, leaving the UK for a country with better medical services and shorter wait times becomes an easy choice. If the government doesn't address these problems soon, the UK could see an even bigger exodus of both healthcare workers and frustrated patients. Number 7. Rising crime and safety concerns. Safety is one of the most important factors when deciding where to live, and for many in the UK, crime rates are becoming a growing concern. Over the past few years, there has been a noticeable rise in violent crime, burglaries, and antisocial behaviour, leaving many residents feeling uneasy about their future in the country. As safety declines, more people are looking for better, more secure alternatives abroad. One of the biggest concerns is the rise in violent crime. Knife crime, gang-related violence, and assaults have increased in major cities like London, Birmingham, and Manchester, making many areas feel unsafe, especially at night. According to police reports, knife crime has risen by over 50% in the last decade, and many young people feel trapped in unsafe communities. Muggings, theft, and break-ins are also on the rise, making residents feel more vulnerable in their own homes. At the same time, police forces are underfunded and overstretched. Budget cuts and staff shortages mean fewer officers on the streets, longer response times, and a weaker ability to prevent crime before it happens. Many communities feel law enforcement isn't doing enough, and with resources spread thin, criminals are taking advantage of the situation. Beyond violent crime, petty crime, and antisocial behaviour are also growing problems. Shoplifting, vandalism, and public disturbances have become common, creating an environment where people no longer feel safe walking alone at night. Countries like Canada, Japan, and Switzerland offer much lower crime rates, better policing, and a greater sense of community security. As concerns about safety in the UK continue to grow, many families and professionals are deciding that it's time to move to a place where they feel safer and more protected. Number 8. High taxes and poor public services. The UK has some of the highest taxes in the world, yet many people feel they're not getting value for their money. As the cost of living rises, so do taxes, putting even more pressure on households and businesses. But despite these high taxes, public services like healthcare, transport, and education are declining in quality, leaving many residents frustrated and looking for better options abroad. One of the biggest complaints is income tax and national insurance contributions. Workers in the UK can lose up to 40 to 45% of their earnings in taxes if they fall into higher income brackets, while self-employed individuals often face even more deductions. At the same time, businesses are struggling with corporation tax hikes, making the UK less attractive for entrepreneurs and investors. In comparison, countries like Dubai, Singapore, and even Portugal offer lower taxes and better incentives for workers and business owners. Meanwhile, public services are failing despite record tax revenues. The NHS is overwhelmed, public transport is unreliable and expensive, and education funding is being cut, making life harder for families and workers. Many people wonder why they're paying so much in taxes but getting so little in return. The transportation system, in particular, has become a major issue. Rail fares are some of the highest in Europe, and frequent train strikes have caused widespread frustration. Buses and other public transport services are also unreliable, overcrowded, and expensive, making daily commuting a nightmare. With other countries offering lower taxes, better public services, and higher living standards, many UK residents are deciding that their hard-earned money would go much further elsewhere. If taxes keep rising while services continue to decline, expect even more people to leave in search of a better quality of life. Number 9. Political instability and uncertainty. The UK has been caught in a cycle of political chaos, and for many, the constant uncertainty is becoming too much to handle. Over the past few years, the country has seen frequent leadership changes, shifting policies, and growing public dissatisfaction, leaving people feeling unsure about the future. This instability is a major reason why many are considering leaving the UK in 2025. One of the biggest issues is constant government turnover. Since 2016, the UK has had 5 different prime ministers, each with different economic strategies and policies. This lack of consistency has made it difficult for businesses and individuals to plan for the future. Many people feel that politicians are out of touch with real economic struggles, and instead of fixing problems, they are making things worse with poor decision-making. Another concern is economic mismanagement. Frequent changes in tax policies, spending cuts, and controversial decisions like Brexit have created uncertainty in almost every sector. Businesses are hesitant to invest, and workers feel like their financial future is unpredictable. The UK's economic policies seem to change with every new government, making it one of the least stable economies in Europe. public dissatisfaction is also growing. Strikes, protests, and demonstrations have become a regular occurrence, with many workers, students, and public service employees demanding better pay and conditions. Frustration with the government is at an all-time high, and many feel that nothing is being done to improve their quality of life. In contrast, countries like Canada, Germany, and Australia offer more political stability, clear economic policies, and a stronger sense of direction. With so much uncertainty in the UK, many are choosing to relocate to places where they can feel more secure about their future. If the government can't restore stability, the UK will continue to lose its people. Number 10. Better opportunities abroad. For many UK residents, the decision to leave isn't just about escaping problems, it's about finding better opportunities elsewhere. Countries like Canada, Australia, Germany, and the UAE are offering higher salaries, lower taxes, better public services, and an overall higher quality of life, making them attractive alternatives to life in the UK. One of the biggest factors driving emigration is higher wages and better job prospects. While wages in the UK have stagnated, many countries are actively recruiting skilled workers with higher pay, better benefits, and stronger worker protections. For example, healthcare professionals, IT specialists, and engineers can often earn significantly more in Canada or Germany while enjoying lower living costs. Lower taxes are another major draw. Countries like the UAE and Singapore have zero or significantly lower income taxes, meaning workers take home more of their earnings. For business owners and entrepreneurs, countries with fewer regulations and lower corporate taxes are proving to be a better place to grow their wealth. Beyond money, quality of life plays a huge role. Many other countries offer cheaper housing, better healthcare systems, lower crime rates, and more work-life balance. In places like Spain and Portugal, British expats are finding they can live more comfortably on lower salaries due to reduced costs of living and sunnier, less stressful environments. Finally, stronger immigration policies in other countries are making it easier than ever for UK residents to relocate. Countries like Australia and Canada actively invite skilled workers, offering fast-track visas and residency programs for those looking to start a new life. With all these benefits available abroad, many people are asking themselves, why struggle in the UK when I can live better somewhere else? For millions, the answer is clear. It's time to move on. So, there you have it. 10 powerful reasons why 5 million people may leave the UK in 2025. From rising living costs and job insecurity to failing public services and better opportunities abroad, it's clear why so many are looking for a fresh start. But the real question is, what about you? Are you staying to ride out the storm? Or are you already planning your next move? Maybe you've noticed some of these struggles firsthand. High taxes, unaffordable housing, or a crumbling NHS. Or perhaps you've already left and found a better life elsewhere. Let's start a conversation. Tell us in the comments, if you could move anywhere, where would you go and why? We put a lot of effort into bringing you these insights, so if you found this video valuable, smash that like button and hit subscribe. It's just one click, but it helps us keep creating content like this. See you in the next one.